Hello, and welcome everyone to the Future Journalist Awards ceremony for 2022. You've all done brilliantly to get here, I will say. We've had a record number of entries this year with over 500, so to be in this room should be a real privilege.
My name's Luke, this is Will and Joe, and we're delighted to be presenting the award today in front of all of you. Firstly, I'd like to welcome you all here today to our brand new Catalyst building. This state-of-the-art building only opened at the beginning of this month, and I think you'll all agree with me when I say that the university has built something magnificent here. We've had the privilege of seeing it being built since we first started 3 years ago now. So yeah, I think this facility sets the uni up great look-wise for the future.
Feels like only, started this awards event in November. We started doing the planning and getting everything prepared, and it feels like only 5 minutes ago that was, and to come 4 months later to see us all in this room, it feels a big honour, and a big lad for us to put it on.
So for those of you who don't know much about the Future Journalist Awards, it's a chance for young people and staff in the surrounding areas to sort of put their hand in the world of journalism and have a chance of maybe finding a new passion, creating a piece of work, whether that be written, visual or audio for us, for our judges to then mark and then bring you all here today.
Organised with the help of the university, us sports journalism students, who you can see all around the room today, we've put together these awards as part of our degree. All of us are finishing within the next 6 weeks, which is absolutely terrifying. But yeah, and also before we get proper underway, we want to give on behalf of the course a special thank you to Danielle, who's been our lecturer, who's been alongside us from the start with this. So without your help, we wouldn't have been able to get this far.
Another special thank you as well to our guests here today. We are a huge welcome to all the finalists and families as well. Good to see you all have been able to make it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll have winners and you'll get to enjoy these lovely prizes. Obviously, here to celebrate your achievement. You've all put in some really good work, and we've all really enjoyed having it and having a look through it. We had to put a finalist for final list for our judges ourselves. It was all very good work that we seen put through. It was very hard to pick through with the final one, but good on you all for managing to get through to this stage. And I thank you for submitting your pieces as well, because we wouldn't be able to put the awards on without your pieces.
Yeah, so when the children come up to grab the awards, if you want to take any photos, feel free to share and make sure you tag us as well, so that we can have a look back at them, because it's what makes the day so memorable for all of us, because it is something that we've looked forward to doing for the past 5 months now, so hopefully it'll be a brilliant day.
As I mentioned, we'd like to introduce our judges. We had our lecturer, some of our lecturers. We had Ian Whittle, we had Ian Bailey, and Matt Sandos, who unfortunately isn't the lecturing moment. They unfortunately can't be here today. We also had Daniel Brooker, as we said, who's our lecturer, who's helped us do this course and helped me put on this event. So once again, thank you to her. And we'd also like to introduce some of our sponsors and special guests as well. We have Baba Baboon Sonia Farrell, who runs a local website, Baba Baboon. So thank you for being in, sponsoring all the written awards as well. We have Laura Watson, of the business editor for the Stoke, and Seb Hutchinson, who unfortunately couldn't be here with us today, but we have a video of him, and he will be giving a little talk on that video.
Yeah, Seb Hutchinson, who you don't know, is a former Stats graduate, and you may also know him as a BBC Match the Day commentator. So to have him supporting the awards was a bit surreal for all of us students who are very predominantly football fans. So to see him on the TV every week and then to be in contact with him was great. This year we managed to take the Future Journalism Awards to the complete next level. Last year I believe they had over 200 entries. This year I'm delighted to say we had over 500. So that was something as students we were really proud of, that we were able to take the awards to the next level. And I have to say, your work this year has been incredible. So well done for you guys for getting this far. There was a lot of good quality entries this year, so you should all be very proud of yourselves.
And I'd now like to welcome up to the front Dr. Robert Marsden, who is the Head of Department of Media, Performance and Communications, as well as the Interim Associate Dean for the School of Digital Technologies and Arts. He's always been in support of the award, so I'd just like to bring you up just to say a few words to you. Rob?
Hello. Everybody, it's absolutely wonderful to see everybody here, and on behalf of Staffordshire University, thank you for coming. Last year we did this online, so it's absolutely amazing to have everybody back together again this year. And as we talked about earlier, being in the Catalyst building in this new £14 million, is it, space, absolutely terrific to welcome you here and to showcase our new facilities. So yeah, I'm Rob Marsden, I'm head of the department in which journalism sits. And I just wanted to let you know what our department's about, really. We've got three words down the right-hand side there that links us all together, because we've also got acting and filmmaking and writing and philosophy even. But again, we are storytellers. We tell stories about the world around us, and it's absolutely amazing to know that as part of the Future Journalist Awards, that this year we've got bloggers, content creators, in more traditional journalistic entries as well. So that's absolutely fantastic. How we tell those stories. It doesn't matter what that story is, we can tell those stories in different ways. A big thing for us is how we make sense of the world around us through the stories we tell. And we've only got to switch on the news or open up my phone every morning to realise that the people making sense of the world around us at the moment are journalists, getting voice to the voiceless and being able to tell the narratives of world events. So really crucial that we can make sense of the world around us through the stories that we tell. And we're collaborators, aren't we? We're collaborating today. We collaborate with people. We collaborate in newsrooms. We collaborate with digital environments. So we're collaborators in that way. And just moving to the next slide, going back to our logo. As you say, we're 10 years old, 500 submissions this year. Absolutely amazing. I think it's going to go from strength to strength. And so much so, other departments want to steal this format and have future filmmakers and future writers because of the success of the work that you're doing here in the journalism area. So I really want to welcome our finalists, parents and teachers here today. And I'm really proud that this is run by our level 6 students. So we're going to go out into the world in just a few weeks' time and can absolutely apply their skills, host, create, present, film. It amazes me, but that's what our third years should be doing. And thank you all around the room here for coordinating this really important event for the university. It's difficult to single out schools and colleges, but I do want to maybe mention two special mentions, as it were, to a long-standing collaborator for this, and also a newbie. So I want to give thanks to John Wealdon Primary. You're here today? Yes, hello, over here. Simply because you've been with us since pretty much the beginning of this journey. So we wanted to thank you for being along the journey over the last decade. You've always booked our students to come in and to deliver workshops, and we always have a load of entries into our categories. So thank you. And we also wanted to welcome to the fold a newbie, which is Newcastle College. Who are here today, representations. Hello. On behalf of the NSCG group, and I know you've been involved for the first time this year as a college, and I can't, so I am singling out, but I just wanted to mention somebody who's been with us since the beginning and somebody new this year to show the range of education establishments who are with us. And finally, but not least, on our final slide, just where do people go who have a journalism degree? We've got sports journalism, we've got postgraduate sports journalism, we've got journalism and digital media. A famous face there is one of our graduates from the department. Alex Scott, who's obviously an athlete, but also a sports presenter and doing the One Show as well. But also on the right-hand side, where people go. We could go on to ITV and Good Morning Britain, Sky Sports, local BBC Stoke, Watford. I mean, Channel 4, we could have tripled that slide with where our graduates go. But I just wanted to give you a flavour of how proud we are of our graduates and where they go. So I'm also calling to you all now to say, keep in touch. Let us know what you're doing next. And maybe you'll be on a slide in a couple of years' time. So thank you very much for coming. Really special day for us all, and can't wait to see what happens next with our witness. So I'm going to pass back. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, lovely speech, Rob. Thanks, Rob.
Like we said earlier, these awards wouldn't be possible without the help of our great sponsors which we have here today.
We'd now like to bring up the sponsor of the written awards.
who owns the hyperlocal website Baba Baboon, as well as hosting her radio show on the Hit Mix. Please welcome Sonia Farrell.
So Sonia has supported the awards magnificently this year, and we want to bring her up to talk to you. So firstly, what inspired you to become a journalist?
Oh wow, this is a tricky one. It was something I always wanted to do, to be honest. I don't know where exactly it first came from, but when from a young age, I always wanted to be a journalist. So I badgered and hammered the Sentinel for years. I'm not going to lie. Laura will be able to explain a little bit how things work, but yes, I did. I constantly hammered the Sentinel, but I did not get any work experience until I started my journalism degree here at Staffordshire University. And then it just went from there. So yeah, it was just always a dream of mine, and that's what I do. Persistence is key.
So you say you badgered on at the Sentinel.
I did.
After that, can you explain the route into the journalism world?
Yes, so after graduation, I did do work experience while I was at university at the Sentinel. Then after graduation, I was quite lucky. I got a job straight away at the Sentinel. I was a news reporter. I then was quite persistent again, which is me all over. I was quite persistent, and I also pushed to assist the sports department. And from there, I did get work on the sports department, and then I was then offered the sports editor's job at the Post and Times series. So I covered Leek, Uttoxeter and Cheadle, and I did that before I then went on. I was also freelancing for a national specialist newspaper called the Racing Post. So I've got a bit of a horse racing background, but that's another story. And I then went to work in horse racing full-time for just short of 10 years before Baba was born. And that was that.
So you say the places you worked at. Has there been anyone that's probably been your favourite person to interview? Why?
See, me and Laura were talking about this. This is a tricky one because there has been so many. So I'll try and give you a few examples. At the Sentinel, there was many. Sophie Alice-Bextor I once interviewed. Blazing Squad, if anyone remembers Blazing Squad. I interviewed them. I also interviewed the late Sir Stan Clark, and that was a horse racing tie, and again that was when I was assisting the sports department. And I was even more excited because I got to meet Lord Galleen, who actually won the Midlands Grand National in 1997. So I met Lord Galleen as well. But yes, the various racing ones there. Again, the Racing Post, various different people I interviewed. David Pipe, Martin Pipe I actually interviewed when I was at uni actually, because I did my dissertation on horse racing. Martin Pipe is a massive trainer, big trainer, been very influential in the horse racing world. And just a little snippet on that actually, when I told my dad I was going to interview Martin Pipe, my dad says, "You've got no chance. He won't contact you, he won't get back to you and all that." And this was when I was at university. I persisted. I was actually quite, in your messaging and the email I sent him, I sort of broke the ice with the horse racing background, and I did get the interview with Martin Pipe, and he had all the time in the world for me. And then I interviewed him again later on in my career. So the Racing Post, went to work in horse racing, just short of 10 years. That was part media, part the betting industry. And from there, needed a new challenge. I walked away from the horse racing industry as a whole, and Baba was born. And from there, I also got the offer to do my own radio show on the Hit Mix, 107.5 FM, every Sunday morning called Local and Live, which I've been doing for 2.5 years. And Ryan joined me again yesterday on the show live on air to talk about the Future Journalist Awards.
Well, I think we can all say, going back to being persistent, that's one thing we've all had drilled into us, is that you don't keep knocking on the door, you're not going to get in.
You're not going to get it.
Yeah. You've been involved with the Future Journalist Awards now
Yep.
for the last few years as a judge, guest speaker, and for the last 2 years as a sponsor. Why do you think the competition is so important?
From my own career and knowing what it was like when I first sort of went out or tried to get work experience, and I think it's vital to get that experience as well. I do think I'm all open to giving others the opportunity because I've experienced it myself. And the media, as again I'm sure Laura will say as well or agree with me, the media has changed so much and it's consistently changing, and I think to have the training and the support behind it, so we have future journalists who report accurately, not fake news, but true news, and get out there and understand how to report on the news is vital in this day and age.
Love it, that's brilliant, thank you very much.
Okay?
Thanks for that, Sonia. We'd now like to bring up our first of the special guests for the awards. Every year the university helps us out with the awards, and they come in when we first start planning them, and we have different people from different departments coming in discussing to us about how we can use them. And we want to be able to source some people without them, so a massive shout out to them first. But we'd like to now bring up the business journalism with Reach PLC, as well as the business editor of the Sentinel. Please welcome Laura Watson.
So, thank you for joining us, Laura. Shall we get on with questions?
Yeah.
First of all, what inspired you to become a journalist?
Well, it's a weird one really. Like Sonia, that from a very early age I wanted to be either a teacher, an air hostess or a journalist. They were the three options I had. I always loved writing at school, and I think that was one of the reasons that I wanted to follow that route. And I remember when I was about 8 or 9, my mum brought me a karaoke machine. And I used to stand in my room doing live news reports from my bedroom, and I think that was where the love came from, really. So there's no specific, inspiration. It's just something I always wanted to do.
Can you tell us a bit about the route you took in actually getting into journalism?
Yeah. So obviously, once I decided that was the route that I wanted to take, I decided I need to do something about the fact that I was very shy. I was that shy I wouldn't even go into a shop because I had to speak to a sales assistant. So I took drama lessons at school. Hated every second. But that was all about building confidence, because I knew that I'd have to, one day be standing here talking to you guys and doing things like this. So once I'd done that at school, I went on to Newcastle College, and I studied journalism, media production, photography. Quickly realised it was the print side that I liked rather than the broadcasting. And then from there, went to Chester University, did a degree in, again, journalism and media studies. And I came back home, because I stayed at Chester, came back home and went after work experience. So first place I looked obviously was the Sentinel. I took on a little job, a little part-time job in a cafe. Did that 3 or 4 days a week, and then the other days when I wasn't working, I would go to the Sentinel, started off at the Post and Times. And it just went from there. There was a slot opened up for a trainee journalist, so I went for that job, applied for it, got it, and then progressed through to my seniors, and eventually became the business editor in 2015.
In your current role as the business editor of the Sentinel, what's a typical day like for you?
It's changed a lot, obviously, in the last 2 years. We used to be based in the offices in Hanley. They've now unfortunately closed because of COVID, so I work from home. It's a bit, at first it was a bit strange because I'm very used to being in a very social environment, but I'm used to it now. I've got my routine, so I tend to wake up, spend an hour or two doing social media. Very, very important part of the job. It's very time consuming, but in terms of getting your stories out there and being, connecting with people and being available to people, that is very, very important part. So I do that. And then I sort of go through, do a bit of admin, check my emails, if there's any stories coming in. And then I tend to go out and about, do things like this, meet people, go to see businesses, interview them, and then come back and obviously write up the stories, get them on the internet, tweeting out and everything. I mean, it can depend really at day to day what happens, and because you never know what's going to obviously come in. But generally, that's what I tend to do. Generally.
What do you like? Obviously, it's stepping away from just your role as the business editor. What do you enjoy most about being a journalist / at your current role, so like the two different things?
Yeah. Well, I think the main thing that I like is the variety. Every day is very different. You never know who you're going to meet. Obviously, you've got a sort of an idea of what the story's going to be, but 9 times out of 10 you can come back with a completely different story because you've got talking to somebody and they can say something you I didn't know that, that sort of thing. And I've actually made some really good friends through people who I've initially interviewed through my job. And then you get to do lovely things like this, and then it's very social as well, the job is, so there's always sort of little awards and networking and things like that, and I think that's probably what I enjoy most.
as I mentioned, it's quite a social job, and you said you made a few friends with the people you've interviewed and whatever. So who has been your favourite person to interview, and can you give us a reason why?
Yeah, again, it's a difficult one, as we were talking earlier. So I've interviewed sort of, if I can think, recent history. I think so. I've interviewed Prince Charles. I've interviewed Phil Taylor, Jeremy Corbyn. All obviously very different characters to interview, and all very interesting. But I don't think I have a favourite. My favourite kind of people are entrepreneurs, really. Obviously, my current job, business, I speak to lots of entrepreneurs. And while it is about the businesses, it's more about the story and about how they got to where they are and their inspiration, sort of like you talking to me today. This is exactly what I do on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, there's not one really. I'm still trying to get in with Denise Coates from Drive, and I'd love to interview Beyonce, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. So.
You never know. Lastly, what advice would you give to the aspiring young journalists in the London?
And it would probably be to step out of your comfort zone. Obviously, things like this can be very daunting. Obviously, back in the day when I would even walk into a shop and speak to a shop assistant, I'm here today, I'd never think I'd be able to do it. But just step out of your comfort zone and be willing to adapt, because the industry's changing so quickly. You have to be willing to perhaps go off piste and there's not a set plan. So I'd say be adaptable and be willing to step out of your comfort zone.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the wonderful insight, Laura. I appreciate you taking the time again.
Thank you.
So, I think it's about time we get on to the awards, which is obviously the reason you're all here today. Before we do though, obviously Laura just said there about stepping out of your comfort zone. We may all be journalists, but I'm 22 years of age and I still get scared bringing a takeaway, so... So, firstly, first category is years 3 to 4.
So, when we read your name out, just call up, grab your award, then we'll sort all the photos and that by the board with special guests after. If that's alright with everyone. So, in the year 3-4 category, the two written runners up. Firstly, from John Wilden Primary School, Zara Guyton.
Well done. Congratulations.
The second runner-up from Eaton Park Academy, Patrick Kadzierski. And the written winner from John Wilden Primary School, Mary Evans. And just on the albums, that was a sample from Mary's work. Let's give our two runners up and a big round of applause, guys.
Now for the years 5 to 6 categories. So our first runner up is Michelle Duncan of John Wilden Primary School. Second runner-up, Louise Hackett of John Wilden Primary School as well. And finally, the winner of this category for the written years 5 to 6 category, Imogen Slattery of John Wilden Primary School. Congratulations to all our winners and runners-up. Got a big round of applause.
guys. And now on to our year 7 to 9 category. We have one runner-up and one winner for this category. So our runner-up from Paisley Catholic College is Holly Jones. Holly can't be with us today, unfortunately. And our winner, also from Paisley Catholic College, is Lily Bradshaw. And again, here's an extract from Lily's work. Congratulations.
Moving on to the year 7 and 9 audio awards now. So the first runner-up from Paisley Catholic College, Lucy Kyver Napper.
Congratulations.
The second runner-up, also from Paisley Catholic College, Eli Hughes. And our audio winner from Trenton High School, Harry Bradbury. We'll just play a little sample of Harry's work that he submitted now.
I'd like to finish with a quote by Elon Musk. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. I personally think we are ready for change.
Now for year 7 to 9 video category. We have a runner-up and a winner for this category. The first runner-up is Scarlett Nichols, Paisley Catholic College. Sorry, we have 2 runners-up, not 1. Second runner-up, Jacob Cohen of also Paisley Catholic College. And our winner, who unfortunately can't be with us here today, Isabel Histed of Paisley Catholic College. Will be passed on to her.
We'll just play a little sample of Isabel's work now.
My instructor told me how to set goals and what they should be about for myself riding Bluebell.
Congratulations, guys. We're going to take a quick break from the awards now. And I want to say invite our special guest, but unfortunately he can't be here today. Seb Hutchinson, former graduate of the university and now Match of the Day commentator. Like I said, Seb can't be here today, but he has left us a little message for you, so enjoy.
Hello everyone, I'm Seb Hutchinson, a football commentator principally for Sky Sports and ITV Sports. I'm sorry I can't be there today, but I'll try and answer some of your questions in any case, and hopefully it will help you on your professional road ahead. So first of all, what first inspired me to go into sports journalism and commentary? Well, funnily enough, even though I cover football, my real inspiration was initially back in the late 80s when I was only a little boy and I listened to the Bruno Tyson fight on the radio, and I remember hearing Harry Carpenter's commentary during that fight, and it really connected me with the event even though I couldn't see it, and that always stuck with me. Likewise, David Coleman's commentary of Linford Christie winning 100-metre gold at Barcelona in 1992. And then after that, what made me think I really wanted to do commentary was watching the 1995 Rugby World Cup in South Africa. And besides the sport, there was a political backdrop to that, and all of that just drew me to the idea of, wouldn't it be great to be able to cover sport in this way? So that was my principal thing, but I was only young then, you know, it's a long road ahead. But you always need that spark that gets you going, because when you have that spark, and if you're fortunate enough to have that spark as a child, then it really takes you on to the next level, because it keeps your commitment to chasing that dream all the way through, whatever happens, and that's a key part of that. If you're a bit unsure about what you want to do, it can sometimes make it harder because you can be knocked off course. So if you know what you want to do, that's probably half the job done already. Can you tell us about your career path into journalism? Well, for me, it's a bit of a multifaceted one because I grew up in London, and usually the path into commentary in particular would be local radio. But my local radio was BBC London and Capital Gold, which were big, channels, big stations at that point in time. So the chances of me doing commentary or getting any sort of experience with them was slim. So I tried to think of another way around it. I did work experience at the BBC as a teenager, running on various shows, one of which was Robot Wars, back when it started in the late 90s. And that gave me an idea of how the industry worked in television. And then I went to university and I did the master's course at Staffordshire Uni. And that was a big help because you could try things out and make mistakes and learn things in an environment that allows you to do that. And there's nothing better than getting experience at anything, however raw it may be, because it one tests whether you want to do it or not, and it also tests whether other people can look at you and see if there's anything in you, and you can ask them questions, to help you improve, because you'll never be as good at the beginning as you will be in, say, 10 years time, 15 years time, so you'll always improve. So it's just looking for that little bit in you that makes you think, oh, I can do this, and I know I can improve. And that goes back to a key point on all of it, is you should only compare yourself to yourself, if that makes sense. Don't look at what other people are doing, don't think I can try and be like them, try and copy them. You can take a little bit of inspiration if it helps you better, but there's only one you, and that's quite important to know. And also that you will improve over time. So don't get frustrated with yourself. Don't think, oh, they didn't like me now, they're never going to like me. But none of that stuff is necessarily true. And things can change over time. Following that, actually, to answer off the back of that, when I left the course in Staffordshire, I did a show reel and I sent it out to loads of different companies. And I got only a couple of replies, but that's all you need. That's all you need. And that got me the foot in the door to get going. I started at ITV Sport as a really junior assistant producer, effectively, and that got me going in television. So, what was a typical day for me? So, as a commentator, the match day, the actual game itself, is only really a quarter of the job, because most of it goes into your preparation for the game and being ahead of it. Now, just say take any particular Premier League match at the weekend. So my prep for that would start several days before, and just being across, making sure, with the Premier League, I pretty much know all the players anyway, but if I was to give an example of if I was to commentate on a league I'm not particularly used to, I would spend time making sure I know the players, and all that research comes in days and days before you start the job. And having that background knowledge ahead of time makes you more relaxed. Because if you cram prep, you never remember. It's never as effective as just having that base knowledge going ahead. And when it comes to the match day, the other part of the job is logistics. I know it sounds strange, but making sure I'm there on time. Being late to anything is just the worst thing ever, because what you'll come to realise is whoever you work for, you're part of a team, and you can't succeed without the team. And going back to when I started working in television, I wanted to know about all the aspects of television, and that made me ultimately a better commentator, because I understood I'm just a small piece in the bigger picture. It almost also made me understand that there are lots of other jobs available to you in television, not just the ones you might see highlighted, say a director, presenter, camera operator. There are a lot of other jobs that can actually give you a very good career. And if I didn't want to be a commentator initially, there are other jobs in television that I would have happily gone down that path and done absolutely fine. What do I enjoy most about being, I'll say, a football commentator is that, I'm covering a sport I love, so there's nothing better than that. I would be watching football anyway. So even though it is, of course, still a job, and I'm professional, and there's lots of things that are unique to that, I can't just turn up and have a good time necessarily, it's still at the back of my mind is this is something that lots of people, millions of people around the world love to watch anyway, and I feel privileged to be able to do that. What's been my favourite sporting event to cover and why? Well, I've had the privilege to cover several men's World Cups, several women's World Cups in football, Rugby World Cups and Olympic Games, and every time I do the major international tournaments, I love them so much. And for me, it's the pinnacle of football, the World Cup, and I am looking forward to working on the one in Qatar at the end of the year, because I think the thing with World Cups, despite all the controversy around this particular World Cup and everything else, is that it does bring the world together in terms of sport. And you can go, when I was in Russia in the last World Cup, it was, you don't rarely get a situation where you're in the middle of Moscow, surrounded by people from Peru and Tunisia and Senegal and all these places around the world, and getting to meet people. It's just a wonderful experience. What advice would I give to today's aspiring journalists and anybody who wants to get into sport? I would say there's a million pieces of advice that anybody can give, but one is just to have the determination to keep going, because there will be knockbacks, there will be things that go against you, but also have a bit of patience, because actually it's a career that you can do for a long time. You can be in it from your 20s through to your 70s at the very least. So there is no rush. If it doesn't happen for you initially, or you don't think you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing straight away, do not give up. People say this all the time, but it's the basis of it. It's hard sometimes when you get knocked back, so you think, I'm going nowhere. But you have to keep on going, because all it takes is just one yes. And then the other thing I would say is, before getting an opportunity, and I know they always say the phrase is who you know, not what you know, but I am telling you, you need to know your subject matter and be on top of what you're doing. The best way to do that is just be an expert in your field, and don't feel like I have to rush to get the opportunity and then I learn the job on the go necessarily. I think you need to just, research into the craft, research into what makes people good at what they do, and look into that and try to think, if you do go into, say, television, for example, learn about all the aspects of television, and that means taking any opportunity that comes your way and making the most of it. If you do get a work experience placement, be there, ask questions. You might annoy a few people, but I'm telling you, I've done that in the past. All you do is just teach yourself. And over time, people change. You can come back to that same company a few years' time, there'll be different people working there. As long as you're nice, don't that's a very important thing. And you're on time to everything you do, and be on time to everything, because it just sets such a good example. But just believe in yourself. Think, I can do this. I believe I can do this. I want to do this. And the chances will come. And listen to what people say in terms of advice they might give you. But you are the best judge in some ways in what's going to improve you, because somebody can say to you, oh, I think you'd be better if you did this. Or you can try it. You could try it, but it might not work. But be open. But I would say, just to try and bring it round to a point, I would try and just think to yourself, this is what I want to do, and keep going. Because believe it or not, as difficult as maybe, as competitive as an industry as it may be, there are a lot more jobs in it than there were before, especially online jobs, effectively, jobs that actually the younger generation have a better skill set for, and you'll find this. And while there is the idea of, obviously, people need to get money to put food on the table, etc., and support their lives, this is not really an industry to become really rich in necessarily, but it's an enriching industry because you're covering something that you love. And it is about patience. Patience is so key, because you can stay in it for such a long piece of time. Anyway, I can't rattle on anymore, because I'm sure this is a long video, and hopefully you're not getting bored, but hopefully those pointers have helped out, and good luck to everyone on your journey ahead. There's lots of talented people who've been through Staffordshire University. I'm sure there's a lot more to come.
Thanks very much for sending that. Not doing get our thanks. But now on the 10 and 11/11 awards. So the written category for this. Unfortunately, our first two runners up can't be here with us today. But they are, the first runner up is Ben Looms of Orm Academy. And the second runner up, James Thorley of Paisley Catholic College. Lydia Gilding of Orm Academy. And lastly, our written winner for the 10 and 11 category is Ruben Jepson of Trenton High School.
Lovely, just want to give our award winners a round of applause.
A little snippet of the winner, Ruben's work that he handed in, so give us a few seconds to read that over and then we'll go on to the next award. Lovely. Now on to our year 12 to 13 category. So our first runner-up unfortunately can't be here today, but it's Louis Mellor of Paisley Catholic College. Our second written runner-up is Lucy Davis of Paisley Catholic College. Our winner for the written category is Freya Asprey of Newcastle College. Up there on the screen is an extract from Freya's winning piece. Lovely. Congratulations, guys. Our winner for the video category is Darcy Jackson of Newcastle College.
Although it doesn't look likely to see the racing driver back in any series this season, I have no doubt he'll be back behind the wheel again very soon. Darcy Jackson for In the Pits.
As I said at the start, this year we've really pushed on the sort of aspect to try and get some extra prizes in for people who deserve them, who not necessarily will have won, but deserve some special recognition. And this year we've got two special prizes. So first up with the winner of our fantastic co-op hamper from Paisley Catholic College for writing about a very good lifestyle piece, Elizabeth Booth.
We couldn't fit it in one bag, so we just got two.
Yeah, that would carry one.
Congratulations.
And our next winner for a VR experience, £50 voucher with the VR experience based in Hanley, Lilia Melinkova from Paisley Catholic College. We would again like to thank our extended thanks to everyone involved in the running of these awards, but especially everyone here in the room today, because without you there are no awards, so give yourselves a massive round of applause. As we mentioned earlier, this year we had our highest amount of entries, so everyone in this room should be extremely proud. We shall shortly commence tours of our state-of-the-art newsroom, which is on the other side of campus, so a few of us guys will take you over. And if all of the runners and winners up could stay seated, as well as our special guests, everyone else is more than welcome to make their way back into the foyer where there are refreshments for everyone.
Just to touch on that, we've got packed lunches for all the winners and the runners up, so the food out there is like just for you guys, so don't worry about getting your kids up because they've already got some stuff out there. So that's all guys for you, so just help yourselves do it.
And one more time, congratulations to all our winners and runners-up. Thank you for joining us today, and we wish you all a safe day.